Very few know that the World Bank is behind the mess today that has become of the Environment Impact Assessment notification. Sometime around 2000, World Bank promoted what is called the Environmental Management Capacity Building Project in India, gave large chunks of loan, HIDA loans, and as a result tried to train away India's administrative rigor from what was moving towards a deeply democratic and representative decision making to one that would be driven by parastatals. So as an outcome of the World Bank's so-called reforms, we had what is now known as the Environment Impact Assessment Notification 2006. And the 2020 version is nothing but a accommodation of all the dilutions that have taken place in the 2006 version. Now, I was engaging with the World Bank then, and I told their consultants from ERM that this is going against the 73rd and 74th Amendment, which actually looked at environmental decision-making and decision-making relating to our natural resources as outcome of representative decision-making, as is enshrined in the Constitution in Article 243, Z, D, and E, as well as Article 371. 370, of course, is abrogated now, so we can't talk about it, as is expressed in the PESA Act, and so on. But their intent was very clear. They wanted to train India's environmental jurisprudence towards a civil jurisprudence rather than what it is now, which is based on criminal law, which means that you commit an environmental violation, it's a crime, and it better be taken seriously. So you can see the current administration is benefiting from what the World Bank did 20 years ago. So the idea of the World Bank has always been to try and run governance from the point of view of minimizing the damage to the corporations. Today, when most of the wealth is accumulated in the corporations, it is a result of the World Bank's schema. Of course, the International Monetary Fund, its cousin, ensured that any reform that take place in any country would always be to the benefit of the transnational corporations around the world. Rarely, if ever, has the IMF financed and given loans to ensure that local institutions were built, local cooperatives were built, and that has never been part of its schematic of giving loans. The World Bank has also been one which has been extremely fond of parastatal-led decision making. I remember way back in the 90s, the Jala Samvardhana Yojana created this construct called the Water User Society, by which it would give loans to southern states, and basically water users would be created outside of the Panchayat Raj system, and they would in turn manage tanks. Hundreds of crores of loans was given, and we are still paying back the loans and interest, but most of the effort that went into the project has failed, because the Water User Society is an artificial construct. It doesn't reflect the aspirations of the people. Nobody has a quarrel with saving tanks and its canals. But when you create contestations over water by the Water User Society competing with the Panchayat Raj system, then that's not something which India wants, especially in a water-stressed country. Similarly, World Bank has been behind farming. It has given loans for the Green Revolution. It has been through its other cousins, the United Nations, been a great facilitator of what is called the zero budget natural farming, which is nothing but taking the last hope of the farmers, which is to ensure there is return to natural, organic, agroecological farming, and making that part of a very corporatized, commodified, financialized system, as is now practiced in Andhra Pradesh, unfortunately promoted by many farmers networks, pro-farmers networks. Not that they don't know the risks. Those risks have been written about. I also have written a critical paper of ZBNF. But today Niti Aayog is promoting, as is the Finance Minister of India, promoting the zero budget farming, which also has a communal tinge to it. Because recently RSS has said the cow is sacred. Of course cow is sacred, as are all animals. The zero budget natural farming is centered around the cow. And therefore, the RSS finds it as a very useful thing to spread natural farming. And we can imagine why. And the Finance Minister is promoting it, Niti Aayog is promoting it, United Nations Environment Program is promoting it. So, on a day like this, when we are looking at World Bank critically, I think it's time that we as people of India realized that sovereign decision making really means standing up to the World Bank. Sovereign decision-making means standing up to the government when it goes against the Constitution. And any force, be it our own civil society network or corporates, when they come to ritualize constitutional promises, deep democratic processes that ought to be the basis on which decisions are made, we must stand up to that as well. So here's my call to all my friends and colleagues and comrades across the country to really be very critical. Take this opportunity when we are looking at the World Bank and really be very critical of how public administration at large and governance, and in particular relating to the natural resource management, about how dams are being again revived, the massive investments being made in solar parks, which will destroy thousands and thousands of hectares of pristine grasslands. And so we have to really critique the developmental paradigm that the World Bank has propagated for decades, which has now become systemic to our government. So there's a lot of work to be done.